So I've got my hot glue gun here, and while that is actually warming up, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to trim off this edge to, I would say, approximately 3 centimeters around, because we don't need quite this much overlay. It's just doing more to glue. So just going to reduce the amount of fabric that we have on the edge here, these pieces. It's really important to note that when you've edged out your space, you're going to tuft, but you don't go over the lines, because this is the point. When you measure this up to glue the backing, if you want to frame it, you can see it has to fit exactly, or pretty much. And if you've tufted too far across, that's going to cause you some problems in trying to fit it into the frame. So when you do your outline, when you're about to start your tuft and you're marking your backing fabric, make sure it's nice and clear and that you don't stray over it. And if you stray over it, before you glue and fix it, you can pick up those extra threads, because it's going to make this part that much easier. So now I have my hot glue gun here, and I'm going to use this. You can use any sort of adhesive. You also notice, as I'm folding this piece over, you'll see that my student, once doing trimming, has managed to accidentally sort of score through some of the backing cloth. This isn't a problem, because we're just going to be able to glue it to the backing. And again down here you can see, but it's just a point to note that if, and it's also happened here, that if this happens, you can glue it, all is not lost, but just to be extra vigilant when we're gluing and sticking this to the frame. Okay. The scissors here that I use to help just tack this down, because hot glue guns are horrible to be honest with you, they can be. So let's just start by putting a line of the glue. I usually go about halfway down here, and then I'll fold it over. So it's really important, this first piece, to make sure that we don't only burn ourselves, but that we get that in, and we pull out any of these threads, these little stragglers that might want to stick themselves to the picture. So it dries pretty quickly. And obviously the idea is that you want to be able to create some tension. So the first piece is quite important to make sure you get it centered and get it going. So this is what I do, using this scooping motion to get it to this point. Right, and I can carry on and finish. I'm going to go to the corner. Need to get some stick in here. Oops. It does dry quite quickly. I'm sure you know that if you've worked with a hot glue gun before. And there's that other little tricky piece. You need to make sure that that's all glued in there. I'm just going to go to the corner for now. Just make sure that that's where well and truly glued. And it's got some nice tension to it. That's, I'll come and do the other side. You want that to be nice and straight on the good side. So I'm now going to carry on here by doing the opposite side. Yeah, I go to about halfway down. Being careful not to burn myself. Making sure we've got that good tension. And finish it off. Through. So we've got that other little piece here in this corner that we're going to deal with in a second. Again, I go to the edge, but I leave the corners and do something different with them at the end. So now I've just got to do the top and bottom, so I'm quite comfortable that is in the middle, and that also the top and bottom are going to also work, because remember, we don't want to see any of the grey backing material when we put it in our frame, so it's important that it's well and truly centred before we start this process. Going to glue along the top here. Oops. Gets a bit easier now you've got the first piece done, the two sides done. Okay, finally. So when we start to get into the corners here, we'll start to make effectively a little sort of triangle, so we're going to pinch that in there. Just want to be very careful with this piece, because this is the corner which was accidentally just cut through. So I'm just going to be careful to make sure that that is properly glued and secured. There. So now, make sure there's a little corner missing from the IKEA frames here. That's how they do it, but not to worry. We can put a blob of glue on that. I'm just going to put an additional little blob of glue here, because I just want to make sure that this does not fray away. So I'm just making sure that that holy piece is well and truly covered, because it's okay with the rest. So now, I'm just literally going to cut quite short this excess, and then I'm just going to make a little fold as neat as I can, and just really tuck these pieces in here, like so, just to make sure that they're all out of the way. You can see it's not an exact science. I just really want to make sure the picture doesn't fray at the edges. I'm going to do these two now, just turn this around a second. I just want to let that, this is no longer needed, so we can just get rid of all these frays. Just take a piece off here and just this tiny blob. Just scoop that down there. Using the glue. Glue just to push it into place. This one's a little bit more tricky because there's no corner here, so I'm just going to do something slightly different on this corner. I don't need all of this, so I'm going to get rid of some of it like before. But you have to improvise a little here because there is no corner of the IKEA frame. There's no corner here, so you just have to improvise a little bit as if there was a corner. Just be careful you don't burn yourselves here by just holding that corner down, just so that it keeps its shape. We've just made it like that so it's easier to get, it's just easier to get out of the frame, but get rid of these frames. Now I'm just going to come back, and this is the other little problem area, which is now set. Glue's gone cold, so I can now confidently cut this off and just add another little blob of glue in here to smooth down these frays and just to push it into place. You can see this. Now obviously if we were going to be using this as a carpet, I'm just going to shake all these pieces now so you can see what we've got left. If we were going to be using this as a carpet, we would use a different treatment on the back here. Equally, if we were going to be sewing some pillow or something like that where you would need stitching into the fabric, you would be doing something entirely different. But now you can hopefully see that there's the picture. Oops. So with this, it's nice and tight across the frame. It really is rather lovely. So all that's left now is I'll leave this to go off just for a second, and then I'm going to pop it into the frame. So I'll turn it over so it's fully dry.